What's good? It's your friendly neighborhood malls. We are back with another episode of Break It On Down, my show where I break down the background and give a little lyric backstory on songs from my new album called Famous Last Words, produced entirely by D.R.U.G.S Beats. Today is going to be a joint that maybe not so many of y'all have heard. It's a bonus track on the album, On and On. Check it out. I may sound cantankerous. Honestly, yo, I'm feeling great. Took an L to take a step back to rebuild my faith. This song, again, if you have streamed the album on, whatever your streaming preference is, you probably haven't heard the song. It is a Bandcamp exclusive. It's called On and On. So it's listed as a bonus track. So if you just go to my Bandcamp page and you see the album, you won't see it. But if you actually bought it, then boom, you got an extra track on there. The song started out as just me. It was a palate cleanser. I wanted something that was just had a little flavor to it. It was one of the first beats that I chose for the album. It was one of the first, in that first little handful of songs that I wrote for the album. And, when D.R.U.G.S played me the beat, I was like, yeah, I want that, because it was just so different. And I knew that it would be something that I could kind of play with cadences. I like to change up the way that I rhyme every now and then. So it was something that I could play off of the bounce of the beat and kind of use a different cadence, a different pattern for it. So, I wanted to give something that was a little bit flavorful and not so much focused on the actual bars and the lyrics, and not trying to just wow you with my lyrical content, but just give you something that is just enjoyable to hear, that's euphonic, and I feel like that's something that a lot of rappers don't really do anymore. It's either all vibes, as they say, and flow, or it's all just bars. And it's like, I kind of want to give you that balance, I came up in a time where you had to have, flavor on top of your lyrics to, be considered a dope MC. So I wanted to kind of get that blend and not be so, heavy on the lyrical miracle stuff, and not so heavy on the narrative that I'd been, started to build, since this was something that was early in the creation process. When I start writing to a beat, I know a lot of rappers do this. I've seen it, but I'm no exception. I kind of mumble to myself, and I'm not necessarily mumbling trying to figure out okay, how am I going to start it? I'm mumbling to figure out, okay, what pattern do I want to use? And so I just kind of, as I was mumbling, I was just kind of thinking of stuff, and what inspired the way that it started out was actually Slum Village. The song Raise It Up, because those are the first words that I say on the song, but also just how they did on Fantastic Volume 2, where it was just it was so much flavor. We say fan-ta-sero, this, that, they kind of, not necessarily stuttered like I did, but, they kind of broke up the words. So that's where I got the idea to do the raise it up, how I began the first verse, the first line of the first verse, and also the first line of the second verse as well. And, now that I'm thinking about it, this was actually the second song that I wrote for the album. I just started out, raise it up, never been one for fake it tough. These rap cats plagiarists, knowing that they can hang with us. And so I kind of liked the way I kind of bounced and flowed from, phrase and word to word. So I just decided to keep that whole cadence going. And there's not a whole lot of backstory with the song per se. It's just me kind of, bragging rap, talking shit, just not really giving you a whole lot of substance in the form of oh, this is about something, but just kind of showcasing. I'm doing my behind the back passes and my no looks, and, doing my crazy dribbles and whatnot. This ain't really this ain't championship basketball, but this is something to entertain you. I am an 80s baby, so there is a new Kids on the Block reference in it for the 80s babies that know, hanging tough, new kids, swearing that they're dangerous, played me some new shit, sound like they on angel dust. So it's kind of me having fun with it, and I hope that feeling came across in the finished product of just me having fun with it, not really taking myself too seriously, but still giving you, something that you would expect to hear from me. And then that's where I came back, with the line after it, I may sound cantankerous. Honestly, I'm feeling great. Took an L, then took a step back to reveal my faith. We all take L's in life, and despite all these losses and all these hardships and whatnot, overall, I still feel good about it, and you can't let those losses overshadow the wins that you get, and just, being thankful to just be here to experience wins and losses. You know what I mean? So sometimes I do come across a little, angry, or I guess at best indifferent to a lot of shit. But, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. And then I go on to say, I'm just here to say my truth. Factuals, not debatable. Most of this shit is deja vu that I just ain't relating to. And I mean, that's real. Like, I tell people all the time, man, like, I know people who, rhyme about tough guy shit, and they are tough guys and they came from that life. That ain't me, yo. Like, I didn't come from that. I'm a country kid. Y'all know. Y'all seen the, if you've been watching the series, you've heard me talk about songs where I'm talking about growing up, man. I grew up in the country. Like, like, I'm not I don't try to be the tough guy. Like, I don't relate to that. I don't relate to the street life or whatever. That's just not me. I'm just going to give you me no matter what. Then I say, came into the rap game, learned nobody's saving you, made it through the storms, battled lions, bears, and saber-tooths. If you've, done any part of trying to carve your space in this indie music business and indie rap business in particular, like, it's a lot of obstacles. It's a lot of people who are, trying to take advantage. There's a lot of people who are, who mean well, but just don't have the know-how or whatever, and you take a lot of L's. Again, you take a lot of L's in life, and you just got to fight through all that. So, then I wrap up the verse. Again, it's just kind of, freestyle in the sense of it's not really a format to it. I'm not talking about a specific thing. So, the hook comes in, and I actually had the idea for the hook for about 15 years. And I never had the right track to execute that idea on. And I just never really, for whatever reason, I just never thought to ask anyone to do, if they could do that for me. But, I had the idea of using the Scenario remix where Charlie Brown goes on and on and on, on and on and on, and then the check it out to the break of dawn. And that's just, again, me kind of paying homage to the rap that I grew up listening to. That on and on and on, that's not really something we do as MCs today, but still, it's me showing that appreciation. And also one of the dopest posse cuts and one of the dopest remixes, period. And so once again, my man Mean Mark, we go back 20 years to, being college students at ECU. He was in my rap group when I was in ECU, in Secret Society. So shout out to Mean Mark for doing those cuts. If you've listened to a previous episode, I kind of told you how me, Mark, and I, and really the whole Secret Society, my college rap group, we kind of lost touch for a long time. And I wrote this song before he and I got back connected. So I was wondering, it's like, okay, should I get a DJ, some other DJ that I know, to do the cuts for it? Or would it be dope if I got somebody to actually say it? And I was thinking of getting, for those of you who know, I was thinking of getting K Hill to say it, because K Hill has that booming voice, that very commanding booming voice. And I was like, oh, he would do it so much justice, to do that. But, I linked back up with me and Mark. I asked, I told him my idea. He was down, and he did it lovely. And that's awesome. And so then I begin the second verse with the same thing the same way that I began the first verse, and this time I say, look, look, light it up, golden. I got the Midas touch, goes up to the sky, but I never feel like the high enough. Analyzed and I adjust, got it down to a science. So, that's me. I am giving you a little bit of me. Like I do have I set a lot of goals for myself, short-term goals, long-term goals, medium goals, but I'm never satisfied. Also, I never feel like, okay, this goal, I always feel like this goal isn't high enough. I need to do more. I need to do better. And it's kind of what has kept me going this whole time. Just that constant push, constantly pushing myself to like, okay, now what else? You did this, now what else? It's like improv where they say, and then. It's like you have an idea, you execute the idea, and then what's next? So that's kind of me. And then later on in the verse, around midway, I say, these modern times are cyberpunk. I just try to stay grounded. My head up in the clouds. I probably never get up out it. There's a lot of negativity and a lot of just, it feels like we are in the dystopian future that we've always described, currently. But I've always been laid back, and some people say down to earth, I guess. I've always been just a real chill guy. But again, with those lofty goals that I mentioned earlier in the verse, like my head is always in the clouds. I daydream a lot, like, the old Looney Tunes cartoon where Ralphie is in class and he's not paying attention and he's just daydreaming that he's in like the Revolutionary War or some shit. Like that's me, man. Like if you catch me and just, watch me, which is weird. Please don't just watch me unless you're watching me in this context. But like if I'm out, just don't watch me. But like I'll just stare off and I'll be a million miles away from wherever and just in my own head. I do that a lot. So it's like I'm grounded, but my heads are always in the clouds, just daydreaming, but also head in the clouds in the sense of like big goals. I talk a little shit in between, but then I kind of finished the verse off with, folks got a problem with black men being self-confident. Everyday life on this planet can seem so arduous till the ancestors call us up. My people just stay marvelous. And, speaking as a black man, a lot of times it does feel like there is always an issue when a black person in general, but since I happen to be a black man, exhibits that confidence, especially that self-confidence, going all the way back, further back, but going back to Muhammad Ali, he said he was the greatest and everyone was like, oh, you sure are full of yourself. Like, you have to be, especially in a sport like boxing. You gotta think that you are the greatest or you get knocked the fuck out. In sports, it's a big thing, like how they treat wide receivers. Like when Terrell Owens was kind of at the top of his game and he would let you know, like, yo, I'm the best wide receiver there is and you need to pay me accordingly. Get your popcorn ready. I'm doing the dances. Like, it was always seemed like, a lot of people had a problem like, oh, he needs to humble himself. For what? This man is one of, a 49ers fan. Admittedly, he's top 3 wide receiver of all time. Talk your shit, and it goes doubly for black women. I feel like that goes without saying, but maybe not. But, I always felt like when a black person, shows that confidence in himself. And there was I'm using sports a lot because it's really perpetuated in sports. And I remember there was a clip of a young Venus Williams, where the interviewer was like, I guess she asked, what are your goals? And she was like, hey, I want to win Wimbledon. I want to do this. I want to do that. And the guy was like, you're pretty sure of yourself, huh? And she was like, yeah. And then her father stopped. It was like, hey. Like she gave you an honest answer with confidence and you need to take that. So I had to speak on that a little bit. And then also just ending the rhyme or ending the song with, some kind of empowerment for my people. I sprinkle it in every now and then in songs, a little bit of empowerment. It's not all just flexing and style and stuff. So, that was it. So this song actually was gonna be cut from the album. When I finished out all the tracks, before I had it mixed by Brian Kidd, shout out to Brian Kidd, who's mixed just about all my albums, man. He's a genius. Thank you for making me sound good. When I listened to all the songs, it stuck out. It wasn't, it didn't fit anywhere. And I felt like it didn't fit anywhere within the rest of the album. And I kind of made it so that it would be a palate cleanser, but it felt like it was a little too stark of a change. But also, I felt like it was still a good song, and I didn't want to just release it as a loose single, because I don't really do the loose single thing. I've always kind of thought of like, things from back when I was young and coming up as a rap fan and as a young rapper, things that I liked. And I always liked bonus tracks, Silent Murder on Nas, It Was Written, the remixes on, Return to the 36 Chambers, ODB, stuff like that. I always appreciated bonus tracks. It's like, hey, and what better way to give a bonus track than like supporting the people or giving something extra to the people who actually bought it from the platform that benefits the artist the most, Bandcamp. So it's not an endorsement of Bandcamp, because them niggas ain't paying me, but shout out to Bandcamp. So I decided, it's like, okay, I'm going to keep it on the album, but it's going to be a hidden track. It's going to be a bonus track. So after you listen to the whole album, I'm going to give you this one little, little morsel of freshness. And that's what that is. I saved it at the last minute, at the 0 hour or the 12th hour or 23rd hour or whatever the saying is. I don't know idioms. I don't know them. So I saved it and it was like, okay, boom, it's a bonus track. So I added it up there as a bonus track. So if you've been listening on Apple Music or Spotify, Pandora, or what have you, you probably have not heard the track. Please, if you will, purchase it on Bandcamp. Might have your new favorite song that you didn't even know existed on it. And then, it goes back into the cuts for the chorus. And, me, Mark, used his creative influence, and he put, the little extra check it out, on and on and on, which I appreciate him doing that, instead of just going back to what you did to the chorus, just switching it up a little bit. So anyway, y'all know the drill. End of this show. Like, follow, subscribe. I'm still pointing down. I did so well with 2 episodes and not pointing down. You guys know what the buttons are. It's YouTube. Everyone knows. But yeah, like, follow, subscribe to the channel. Hit me up in the comments if you've heard the song, what you feel about the song. If you haven't heard the song, whatever. Again, famous last words. My album, produced entirely by Grammy-nominated producer D.R.U.G.S Beats, is available anywhere you get music. But if you want the bonus track, you get it from my Bandcamp. I'm gonna have the link down in the description. Follow me on Twitter at Malls, Mallz. And we will see you next Tuesday, y'all. Peace.